Okay, so let's talk about a few things. We are going to talk about arrays. So arrays is basically, it's like a multi-story building where this is your variable, say A, and these are all the values that actually go into A. So assuming I have, say, to store 6 values essentially in a variable A, then I can do it this way. Now, that said, what that actually means is I have a variable A where I am trying to put more values in, like assuming I had, say, initially 10 variables. Very easy to go, A1, A2, A3, A4, and so on. Now it becomes 100. I can still do A1, A2, A100 to A1 to A100. Now I have about 100,000 variables. Kind of hard, and I want all the values to be zero, so it's kind of hard to get that done. So for that, we need something which is called an array, where the index on the array, so this is basically the index, basically tells you, like assuming I wanted 1000, so I would go, it'll be 0, A1, A2, A3, and so on till A99999, basically. So it is essentially from 0 to 9 and only in variable A. Now, assuming I want to access this, so the easiest way is to do is to go for I equal to 0, I less than 1000, I plus plus, and then what we can do is we can access with I. So if I want to put a value in there, I can say AI equal to whatever value I need in here. Or if I want to put it in a value, I can say value is equal to AI. So this basically makes it easier. So that means going through a for loop, you can easily populate this and can do that. So we can do a number of things using uh, arrays. So we'll talk about few things. We'll talk about initializing an array. We'll talk about populating an array, and we talk about few of those things. So that said, so let's start doing that. There you go. So, so what we are going to do is we are going to do new Java project, which is called array populate. So let's see how we populate an array. So we don't need a module. So we made an array populate. So the next thing we need to do is to create a new class file, which we can call array populate. We can create a static driving function, and there you go. So there is my populate. So the first thing I do is import. So I'm going to read things from the screen and then try to do it. I will do import Java. Let's see. So I'll import and then I'll say, what do we do? So for degree to centigrade. So what do we do in there? So we read stuff. So let's see. So we are going to do scanner in. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the scanner. And then what we need to do is we need to create an identifier array. So assuming I have an int, so I'm going to say int. So I want to do scores, read scores of different candidates. I can do int scores is equal to new int size. So I want say 3 scores to be read. Why is it not happy? So let's see. It's not happy because I have not defined it as an integer. Okay, so let's see. How do I populate something like this? So I do for int I equal to 0, which is basically starting index, then I less than the size, which in this case is 3, and then I plus plus. So I'm going to say okay. So score I equal to, so it is reading sc dot next int. I'm going to say next int. See if it works. Why is it not happy? Scores, that's why. Okay, so there you go. And now let's see if I can for int j equal to 0, j less than 3, j plus plus. So let's see if we can output that. System out print let's see, j plus the value which is scores j. So this basically should be printing out my array. So let's try doing it. Let's compile. Okay, so let's put the first number, so 2 score, I say 3, and then I say 9, and then it prints 2, 3, and 9. So what it does is so I can do j basically plus score. So it basically will print the value of j, and it will also print the value of score. Okay, so we say 2, 3, 9. Okay, so it says 0, first index is 2, second index is 3, 1, and the third index is 2. Now what we need to do, next thing we want is basically, I wanted to do name, name, address, phone, and the last one is email. So all these are text. So what we do is we got to define the string name, string array. This basically says it's an array. Name equal to new string. So let's see, say we want 3 in here. Okay. Similarly, we can do string address new 3. Then string phone we can do both ways. We can do string array or phone array, which is fine. Which will be new string 3, just to make sure that we have the same number, and then phone email. So let's see if we can input all of them. Now in this case, so we have that. So we're going to say name equal to next line. The reason being that name has 2 words. So we're going to say, put a bracket here, basically telling us that there is code which needs to be run. So I'm going to say name. Before I say name, I say system out println, essentially telling me I can do enter name, I can do enter address, I can do enter email, phone. So we do name. Address, phone, email. So it's reading all of them. So I can do this guy. So make sure the naming is fine. So it reads. This will read all of them. So let's see if we can output all of them. System. So it'll say address. So first thing, name. Name, address, phone, email. So I'm just going to say name, address. So I'm going to say so name, okay, and then I'm going to close this bracket just to give you an idea. Okay, so let's see if this actually works. Now, a few things to note when you're defining an array. First thing you need to define this, basically that defines an array. How many there are elements in there? It says 3. I can only go up to 3. So if I go, say, if I do 0, 1, 2, and if I put 3, I'll get an out of bound exception. So if I accidentally say 4 here, that's not okay because it will go more elements than required. So if you have a house which is basically 3 stories, and if you try to go on the 4th story, there is no house there. So that you cannot go into the 4th story. So let's see, enter names. If I put A, B, the name, address is 2110A, phone number is say 909-851-0382, email is j@j.com. That's the first time. The second one is B-C, address is say 314J, phone number is 911. Email is b@c.com. Enter BC ADF, and then phone number is 12. Email is j@g.com. So let's see. So it gives you name 0, AB, A. So it stores all of that. And it stores for the first one. And it stores for the second one. So this is how it is. So this is what it does in order to store it. Now, once the data is in, we'll do validation, but we'll do in the next step.